Hello, you wonderful art parents. I hope you're surviving the holidays. We are kind of over here. Okay, so for the month of December, it really varies what works for the teachers. Some of the teachers really appreciate you coming in and helping out because it's a crazy month. Some of the teachers have too much going on and they can't fit this in for the schedule. So I always make sure to make December a month that it's not too stressful if you miss it. It's not a giant project. Like last month with the mosaics, we really wanted the kids to all be able to experience that since that's not something that, that a lot of kids will do at home. Um, so if you don't make it in this month, don't stress out about it too much. Definitely make an effort, but don't stress too much. The artist for this month is really fun. She's one of my favorites, Helen Frankenthaler. She was born in 1928, like Upper East Side Manhattan girl. She had all the privilege. Her father was a Supreme Court justice. Her mother was just an awesome, like super supportive mother that wanted to. They had these two daughters, and she wanted her daughters to be whatever her daughters wanted to be. So she like encouraged them to do whatever they want, and she was able to be trained at some of the best colleges, best schools in the country, and then worked under artists from a young age. And because of that, I think just having access to those social circles really helps put you where you need to be an influential person. And she was very influential in the modern movement. Here is a great picture of her. Um, I think this was for Time. I think Time took this picture. Um, you can see she worked really big. Her canvases were huge. She knew Jackson Pollock and was really influenced by him, the drip painter, who was the first guy to do the drip paintings. Which I every year I think about doing him, and I think it just is too messy to take into the classrooms. But he is really a cool painter, and a lot of people kind of look at his work and say, well, anybody can do that. But if you have seen a knockoff Pollock, seen like the cheap versions of those, and seen a real Pollock, you can definitely tell a difference. And actually, just in the last few years, there was some computer analysis done on his work and found that he used like intuitively used fractals in his paintings, which is so amazing. But I'm getting off topic. Back to Helen. She loved his drip and pour style, and she created her own. First using oils, but because they kind of changed the chemical makeup of the canvas and didn't last, like it actually kind of rotted the canvas, she quickly went to pouring acrylics. And she called this method the soak stain method. And it's different. You can see her work definitely has a different feel than Pollock. And it was popular. It was super popular, and it was very influential for artists to come. So one of the big artists that came after her that was influenced by her was Mark Rothko. And you can remind the students, we studied Mark Rothko last year with his big color-filled paintings. You can see how she has like big areas that are joined together with colors, and then interesting things in there with it. And for her, she really was thinking of like a place or a thing when she created her paintings. But one of the things that she really wanted, and a lot of the abstract artists of this time were really motivated by, was to allow the viewer to have a chance to participate in creating the meaning of the painting, which I think is really cool. That wanting to have like a joint, it's a joint relationship with the viewer, so they can kind of determine what it looks like to them. Maybe I look at this and I see a beautiful flower. Maybe this one is called Mountain and Sea. It's her most famous painting. Maybe I see like the mountain in the back and sails on the sea. Maybe I see something totally different. And the great thing to do with the kids is to really to give them a chance to kind of tell you what they think. When I talk through art with students, I usually try to say, what do you think? Does this make you feel happy or sad? Do you feel like it's an energetic piece or a calming piece? What do you see when you look at this piece? It gets students kind of thinking along the lines of how to view art, how to look at art and not be intimidated or to feel like there's a right answer, because there really was no right answer. Helen Frankenthaler did not have a right answer in mind, even though she gave titles to her pieces. She wanted the viewer to be able to take a look and to decide what they saw from there. So really fun pieces. This is a great example of the color fields that kind of unite in the back, and then interesting information on top. This one is Canyon, and that is very color-filled style. You can kind of see, like, through the years, her style changed a little bit. So for my piece, just to kind of give an example of how you would go through the process, I would tell the students, okay, as we're passing out supplies and getting everything ready, I want you to think of a place or a thing, something you like. I don't know, in Amanda's class, there are always like 2 boys that do cars for everything. 2 boys that do Marvel for everything, 2 boys that do cars for everything. And so I thought it would be a good exercise I took a picture. Here is a picture I found online. So I take this picture, and now I'm going to take it and I'm going to break it down. In the art world, we call this deconstructing. And usually I'll have the kids say it with me. Say deconstructing with me. And then I'll tell them, if you go home and tell your mom, look at my deconstructed picture of a flower, your mom will be super impressed at all the fancy words you know. And they kind of get a chuckle out of that. They like that. So for me, I started with, we always, well, I shouldn't say always, most of the time, when we are doing a painting, we start at the background and we work our way forward. So we start with the big things and then we work our way forward. And I always explain to students, it helps you not have a kindergarten sky. And what I call a kindergarten sky is when there are people and trees and houses and whatever, and then across the top there's a line of blue sky, because they made the interesting things first, and then they didn't want to have to put sky behind everything, so they just made a strip at the top. And then we say, isn't that so silly? If you're doing kindergartners, maybe say a preschool sky. It's something that kids do. I mean, you see it like clear up into the middle-ish upper grades. Or that silly, you've got your house and your people and there's sky that goes around them, but it doesn't touch them. If you start with the background and work your way forward, then you will not have trouble with that. Your sky will go all the way across behind people, and that will be really cool. So when we're working with watercolors are very thirsty. We need to give our brushes lots and lots of water. If we give our brush a lot of water and then we run it around in the paint for a long time, we'll get really bright paint. But if you want to have a cool, interesting, different effect, and you want to put it in the paint not as much, you'll get something kind of light. And I think it's cool to mix those together. So you can make things the colors that they are in what you're thinking, the real life colors, or you can make them different. So here is my water, and I made it go all the way across. I decided I didn't want my sand. And this is supposed to be like my mountains in the background. And then I'm going to put some fluffy purple clouds up here. And I'm just going to add a little bit of water. The nice thing is, if you're getting kind of dry and it's getting streaky, you can dip your brush really quick into the water and add a little bit of water. You don't even have to add paint if you don't want to. And I want my clouds to have different amounts of like brightness and opacity. So you can see I'm kind of varying it here. Okay, I've got my whole background. And maybe I even need to give this a minute to dry. It doesn't take very long. Watercolor dries really fast. And now I'm going to start putting in some details. I'm going to go up to the front. I had a big brush for my background. I'm going to go up to the front and I'm going to pick out a small brush. Look at this little brush. It's really thin. This is a filbert. It's thick on one side but thin on the other. You can pick a little pointy one if you want to put in little pointy details. Totally up to you. And I'm going to put in my red circle umbrella. I'm just going to do a little bit here and then I'll let you guys go from here. Now, I noticed on the art card, some parents love to do an example to show the kids. Totally fine if you want to. Some parents don't like to, and you don't have to do that either, because you can just, show them what I have up here and go from there. And then from here, I'm going to put in some little things. I might put in like some lines for that chair that's kind of on the front. But see how I'm making it kind of interesting and different, and it's not exact, right? So when you take a look at my two pictures, you can see, you might be able to see in there, yeah, I can see, look, there's the chair, there's the umbrella, there's some hilly mountains, but it's definitely not exactly the same. This is not a representational picture, meaning it looks just like real life. It's an abstract, it's deconstructed. So easy project, fun to do. Supplies aren't so limited. Last month was crazy, especially at the end of the month. I don't know what we were doing, but we were blowing through those tiles so fast it was scary. This month, watercolor paper is nice, so I want you to encourage the kids. If they want to do one or two, that's fine with me. If you have one of those kids that starts 3 times and gets frustrated, maybe just encourage them. Just say, this paper is kind of special. It's more expensive. We need to have enough to share with everybody. And usually once you do that, the students are really, they're really good about not going crazy with it. Not that we have enough budget for the supplies, especially at this point in the year, but it's good to be conscientious. So I hope this goes really well. I hope you have great holidays. If you have any questions or need any help with anything, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm always here if you need me. Thanks so much.